Welcome back to another magazine flick through, and this time we're looking at Mean Machines Sega magazine again from January 1994, and this is number 15. Now this is quite nice to see a magazine right at the beginning of 94, because this year, at least in my opinion, really was a golden age for the 16-bit consoles, because I think the developers had got the most out of the platforms at that point, and I think there was a lot of one-upmanship between Sega developers and Nintendo developers on who could make the console do something more impressive. And I think towards the end there was perhaps they'd gone a bit too far, that some of them were a little bit like tech demos in a way, but there were some really great games that came out. So we've got an advert here for competition to win a Super Street Fighter 2 machine, and it's £3,000. I always thought arcades cost more than that, maybe not. But that's a really great game that also got converted this year. Well, this year being 94, not 2015. So for the Mega Drive, we've got Dragon's Revenge, which is the sequel to Devil Crash, Lost Vikings, Pirates Gold. Don't know if that's the Sid Meier game or not. Body Count, which is the other game that uses the menu, so Dune 2, Amiga conversion, which is really good. Mortal Kombat on Mega CD, Joe Montana, which has, I think that's the Mega Football game. Pugsy CD, which is a good conversion with some extra bits and pieces. Masters of Combat, which looks like a one-on-one beat 'em up. Robocop vs Terminator, which is a good conversion. Donald Duck 2, I haven't played that one, but I think that came out at the same time as Land of Illusion, as being part of that series. And Roadrunner, I haven't played that either. So we've got Toe Jam and Earl 2, which was quite different from the original. It's, you could almost liken it from like Zelda 1 to Zelda 2 with the way the perspective is, not necessarily the gameplay. And Eternal Champions, which was Sega's really contender for the beat 'em up crown. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was. It's too hard, but it's a decent game if you can get into it. So we've got the first FIFA Soccer 1994. So this would have just come out at this point. Certainly a long-running series. I'm not sure if there's a massive amount of difference between these early games. I know the mechanics have got subtle tweaks, and some people prefer one, some people prefer the other, but I think unless you're a major football fan you might not notice it. Zool has finally come out on consoles. Hook, yeah, that's not bad game. Yeah, so some quite varied games coming out, and as before you've got the feature on the editors, writers and reviewers and whatnot, and someone wearing a Megadeth t-shirt. Now that would have been, yeah, Euthanasia came out that year, so it could have been anything from Countdown to Extinction right back to the first one. Winter Olympics, really quite good game on at least on the Master System. I quite enjoy this. I haven't played the Mega Drive one, but graphically quite similar. The sprites for the most part are the same. It's probably just frame rate and maybe the size of the sprites, but they look pretty much the same. Yeah, so this is the new Donald Duck game. Deep Duck Trouble, that's it. It's quite an expensive game to get hold of now. I don't think there were that many copies made. Stallone sniping. This is Demolition Man, yeah. Yeah, I saw a copy of this recently, and it was a Genesis game, and I didn't realise that there was a PAL version. I had a look and found out there was a PAL version. I never saw that for sale in the UK. What's this? Psygnosis game. What's this? Is this the Flash? Rescue. I really like the look of that. These are really small sprites, and it's probably quite a large map. Yeah. It's like Blaster Master. Should look that up. I don't know what game that is. Maybe it was canned. And that'll be sketching on the Mega Drive, which is really just the Road Rash engine with a different gameplay mechanic. That is, what's it called? Psygnosis game. Oh, I forget what this one's called now. Is it Snitch? No, I forget the name of it. But this is quite a very, very rare game to get hold of now. Yeah, I think there was a Mega CD version too. Bunny Bunk. Yeah, that came out on the Saturn as well. I've seen that for sale. Yeah, and that is, what's that? Barclay? Is it Barclay Shop and Jam? Doesn't it always say what these games are? Not sure. Reach for the Stars. That looks like Soul Star on the Mega CD. Yeah, so 94 was when the Mega CD got some really good games from Core Design. There was Soul Star, Battle Cores, BC Racers, all really good games. Maybe BC Racers less so, but certainly those two were really good. And Soul Star is just, I think it's my favourite game on the Mega CD. Maybe equal to Snatcher, probably. Even Blender, don't know what that is. And this is Mortal Kombat with its FMV and bad load times. Oh, and the Sega TV channel. Yeah, there was a review of that by Kibble Justice, did it about a month ago. I think it was that service. There were a few around at the time, but it's worth checking out that video because it's got a lot of history in there. Wiz and Liz, yeah, that's. I keep mentioning the Psygnosis games. It's Pugsy and Wiz and Liz, and these two came on a demo disc for the Mega CD. Really, really good games, worth picking up. That'll be Mega Race, Mega CD. Yeah, some more EA games. Yeah, Jungle Book. I think a friend of mine had that, but I don't remember much about it. And more EA sports games. So this is where they started using that 4-player adapter, which is quite good. I think sports games do really benefit from that. Now, body count. This is one of the few Mega Drive games that does use the Menacer, and I really want to pick this up if I see it at some point. It's just not very cheap. I think it's just because, well, I was going to say it's a late game, but it wasn't, because there were a lot of games in '94, as I just said. I don't know if it just didn't sell very well. Yeah, it says, as you probably noticed, a few decent games have emerged for the Menacer Leica, and I would say few games at all. Yeah, it's a difficult machine to work with. Yeah, interesting. I just don't know why more games didn't use it. Because there was that one based on, was it Aerosmith? There was a game, and it just doesn't use the Menacer, although it is a shoot 'em up game. Yeah, so advert for Gods. Got that game on the Mega CD, Mega Drive. It's an Amiga conversion. It's Bitmap Brothers games. It's really quite good. This is Prince of Persia on the Mega Drive. Now, Prince of Persia was a bit odd because every version was ported by a different company, and the Master System's got a version, the Mega CD's got a version, the Mega Drive, and they all look totally different. And with the Mega Drive and the Mega CD, it's quite hard to say which looks better because they just look so different. But yeah, this does look quite good. I don't know how well it plays. Again, it's totally different to the SNES version. James Pond 3. Yeah, this was a bit of an odd game. It was mixing bits of Mario and I think maybe bits of Sonic in there. Because Robocop 2, I think, is the one that everyone remembers, and the first James Pond, I think, had its following on the Amiga and the Atari ST, but it is out on the Mega Drive. I just don't remember much press about it. But yeah, this one, I think it's meant to be maybe an 80% game. ToeJam and Earl 2, yeah. This, I mean, graphically, this looks really nice. They've made really good use of the colour palette, and the sprites are quite big as well. Really, this is a good example of the late Mega Drive games really making good use of the hardware with these really big sprites, really nice colourful environments. This is probably going to get a 90%, I think. 6-page review, at least. So, yeah, I mean, the first game had such a good reputation. This one changed the formula a little bit. 91%, yeah. So they liked it. Yeah, the only problem was all that colour brings an eye strain. Yeah, and perhaps it's a little bit too easy, but, well, you can't really knock it too much for that. We've got some games at Comet, which no longer exists in the UK. Yeah, £60 still. That's really expensive, because this advert was in, was it 6 months ago in Mean Machines, or 4 months ago, one that I looked at, and it's the same price. Yeah, really quite expensive. But then again, I suppose it's like Call of Duty. Everyone wants it when it comes out, and it holds its value for a long time, and then it just plummets. It's what the kids want. Yeah, quite nice drawings. It's good to see what comes in every month. Yeah, more Terminator. That looks like Cody from Final Fight as a Terminator. I think that's Julian Rignall. Yeah, Q&A. Dixon's are selling games. Yeah, so Dixon's is now merged with Curry's. I mean, they're the same company. Well, they were. But now they're just one company. Or one shop, rather. So yeah, so some pretty good beat-em-ups. Final Fight, Streets of Rage 2, Street Fighter 2, Super Street, yeah, all good games, all good games. Bob was one that I remember but never played. Green Dog, this was previewed on a VHS tape that came with an issue of Mean Machines, and it had a really early version of Sonic 2 on there as well. It just didn't look interesting. Yeah, Fatal Fury. These are all tips, so I'll skip past these too much. This will be Gauntlet 4. Yeah. I should pick that up at some point. I'm hoping to find that at Replay this year. Well, there's a lot of tips this issue. I mean, it boasts itself to be this quite thick issue. I think it said it was what was it, 148 pages. Yeah, a lot of tips. Pad it out a little bit. Yeah, actually, this is probably a good one. It's Shining Force. It's quite a nice RPG on the Mega Drive. Again, it's quite an expensive one. Future Zone. Now I remember this. This became Game Zone. It was kind of very industrial inside, just the way the shop was laid out, and then it became Electronics Boutique, which was just night and day. Yeah, this was my go-to shop for games. Not badly priced. I think they were quite reasonable. First time I ever saw Doom playing. Yeah, so Sega Magazine. Now, I already have filmed an issue of this because I got the dates wrong, and I filmed it about a month ago. So what I'm going to do is film it again, because I want to kind of do this fresh in light of previous issues, and I think that video, which I've still got, will come out as maybe a subscriber special. But this was a new magazine by EMAP, the publishers of Mean Machines and Sega magazine. Oh, sorry, Mean Machines Sega magazine, rather. And yeah, it's kind of different in its style, but it was very good at getting exclusive news about the new, the 32X and the Saturn, and a lot of the new games coming out from Sega. And I think they were quite fair in their reviews, but they did hype up certain games maybe more than they should have. So this is F117. I've seen this quite recently in a retro shop. It's a polygon-based aircraft simulation, 72%. I haven't played any of these on the Mega Drive. Played them on the ST, and the frame rate was okay. So I'm assuming the frame rate's about the same on the Mega Drive, with it being pretty much the same CPU. I forget which has the faster clock speed though, but there's not much between them. Professional, God, I haven't seen that. Zool, you wanted it, you got it. I don't know. I think I'd have wanted the Amiga version because the Mega Drive and the SNES conversions were not the same. The levels were completely different and it just didn't feel right. I just don't think the level design was quite as good. It's like Toki on the Mega Drive, it just doesn't feel the same. Lotus 2, so that is Lotus 3 on the Amiga. It was just that there wasn't a Lotus 1 on the Mega Drive, so Lotus 2 became Lotus 1. Yeah. This one I think is a better conversion with the frame rate because it feels a lot smoother than Lotus 2, but Lotus 3 was always the weaker game in the series. So yeah, 73. Yeah, I think by this point no one really wanted this graphic style. I mean, now it's nice that you see it for what it is, but I think with 3D games coming out in the arcades, this isn't what people wanted anymore. They wanted Virtua Racing or Daytona. Yeah, more gods. I really should cover that at some point. Lost Vikings. Yeah, I remember this game taking quite a while to get released. It was previewed for quite a long time. I think it's a platformer puzzle game rather than a straight out just action platformer. Interesting, you've got players 1 to 3 there. 84%. Yeah, as I say, don't know very much about it, but it always appealed. But I mean, looking at these screenshots, I don't know if these are two layered on top of each other, but the sprites must be quite small. So it makes you think that it's a puzzle style platformer. Blades of Vengeance, 53%. This looks quite good from the screenshots, but yeah, it's just not great playability and stability, sadly. Yeah, poor sound doesn't really put me off too much. It tends to be gameplay. Mega CD 2 package, £329. Wow, that's even though the Mega CD's not the cheapest of machines now. It's still a lot cheaper than that. Yeah, what's this for Rumblos? Yeah, 60 quid. And that's the Rumblos price. I think that's the RRP. I don't think it's any cheaper. Yeah, still waiting for Sonic 3 at this point. That came out in February. Masters of Combat. Yeah, this got a good review. Looking at the screenshot, the front, that tiny one, I was wondering if it'd be good. There's just something about it. Yeah, never heard of it. Never heard of this game. I don't know if it's got a good reputation, but they certainly liked it. And it plays well. Which I think was a problem with a lot of Master System beat 'em ups. They always felt a bit sluggish. Dinosaurs. Looks a bit dithered in its colour palette. 69%. So it's okay. Wow, another advert for Sega magazine. Lethal Enforcers. So get your Menacer for your. No, it wasn't Menacer. Justifier rather. Yeah, Justifier. Master System review of Robocop vs Terminator, 89%. I think that's well deserved. It's a nice looking game. It plays really well too. Pugsy on the Mega CD. They gave it 90%. Yeah, this is one of the few arcade adventures for the Mega Drive and even rarer Mega CD. I don't get what that means. Few true arcade adventures. However, there is no distinct difference between the two platforms. I think there are a few extra levels on this version, and I think there's a few extra bosses that have got some sprite scaling on it, and this really nice intro. But yeah, I'd agree that they're exactly the same game. Barcode Battler. Yeah, so this was hyped up a few months before, and it came out, and it wasn't really very much. Yeah, it's just like Top Trumps, just automated. Dragon's Revenge, so this is the sequel to Devil's Crash or Devil's Crush, depending on whether you're on the PC Engine. I forget what this one was called. What I'm thinking, Devil's Crush in the UK it got a different name. It was like Dragon's Curse, I think they called it, and that's where this came from. So it was the company that converted this into the West, or released it in the West. They made their own sequel, which is what this game is, and it's not meant to be quite as good. So I'm guessing 75%. I think 74%. Yeah, just doesn't play well. It just feels a bit average. Yeah, more Sonic Spinball Zombies, which I was talking with T-Rex Space Station about at the was it the Leeds Retro Market, or was it it was Replay? I forget which one it was, and we were looking at this and they had this on sale. I think it was Replay in Blackpool. Forget if we bought that or not, but it's meant to be a good game. Zool 67. Now, what didn't they like? They said technically good with decent parallax scrolling. I forget whether this looks more like the AGA version or whether it looks more like the standard Amiga OCS version. The backgrounds do look nicer, so it probably is more like the AGA version. But not particularly impressive. That seems a bit weird. It's technically good, but nothing impressive. I found that the environment's not very distinctive. They did look nice, but you got very lost in the levels. I think it was the level design which was the problem with this one. Yeah. So the playability, yeah, it's derivative. I think Zool was a bit of a gimmick, really, for the Amiga. It was meant to be the equivalent of Sonic, but once you put that on the Mega Drive that has Sonic, it doesn't stand up as well. Advert for Pugsy, yeah, that's a good game. Joe Montana Football for the Mega CD. This looks like some kind of Mode 7 effect, which I think would work well. 74%. Graphics are meant to be quite smooth but blocky, which is common for the Mega CD. And Whiz and Liz. Megatech. So we looked at that. I don't have any more issues with that. I wasn't massively impressed with it. I just didn't see the point in that, because it was published by EMAP and they made that and Mean Machines, and it just seems bizarre because they're just so similar. Maybe it's for people that bought 2 magazines a month and they wanted them the same. Don't know. Yeah, you get your CD32, which had just come out at this point before Commodore went bankrupt, which is quite sad. I think it was October 94 it went belly up, and yeah, shame really. I think if the AGA chipset had have become what was called the AAA chipset, and that machine had come out before the PlayStation, I think it would have done really, really well. But sadly it wasn't to be. Aero the Acrobat. Yeah, it looks nice. Again, another game. I think there were a lot of games in '94. There were just so many that came out, and I couldn't keep track of them all. Certainly couldn't afford them all. Yeah, 80%. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember when I got rid of the Mega Drive. I think I got rid of it in early '95. I think it was early '95 I got rid of the Mega Drive. Game Gear. Yeah, 77%. Robocop 3, not so good game. Acclaim. I don't know, it looks okay, but it's got slightly dated gameplay, and it's too hard, it says. Yeah, I can understand that. T2 Judgment Day. I think this is an LGN game. It's not very good. Yeah, don't mix this up with T2 the arcade game. Very different games. Pirates. Microprose. I didn't realise they made Mega Drive games. I thought they were computer only. Yeah, Pirates Gold is actually ages old. It's the same as the or similar to the C64 version. I wonder if this is the Sid Meier game. It does look really, really nice. Really nice artwork on it. It looks very Amiga-like. I think this probably was an Amiga conversion. 83%. Some printing errors. Sensible Soccer. That's another good game. Yeah, your shops. review of Dune 2. Yeah, the graphics are a little different. I used to play the PC version quite a lot, and I think they've changed it a little bit to work better on a television, but all these are the same. I just hope it plays well, because I'm looking out for this. Yeah, 93%. Yeah, so it's worth picking up. I want to see if I can get hold of that. It doesn't come up on eBay very often. Hook. 69%. Yeah, I'd say it's worth that. It's a bit average. There's nothing new or special with this game. If it had come out maybe 92, it might have done quite well. And it's got the Mega CD version, which hasn't got anything new as far as the gameplay goes. Eternal Champions. Yeah, this game was meant to use the effect. Allegedly, there's an effect that Echo 2 and this use to get more colours out of the Mega Drive by changing the colour palette each scan line, and it was a trick that was meant to get more colours, but I've read on forums where people have done colour tests on emulated screenshots, and that might not be true. I think it was mainly the dithering. You can see here there's a lot of dithering and like fake transparency. I think once you blurred it on a television, it looks like you got more colours. I don't think that trick was real. I think it's just dithering. But it looks nice. You know, it looks really good. This might actually look worse through an RGB lead. In that case, you probably see all the dithering, and certainly on an emulator it wouldn't look great. Yeah, nice looking game. Really quite original. It's just so hard. The Mega CD version is a bit better. I think it's a bit better rounded. Greatest Heavyweights. Looks like the Evander Holyfield game that I remember playing. It was okay. I'm not really a fan of boxing games, but I did give it a go. NBA Jam. Yeah, this was massive back in the day. And this came out, and there was a super edition of it. I forget what the name was. But you used to get the ball used to like glow on fire. Yeah, that was a good game. It's a conversion of the arcade. Looks quite different in the art style. And next month they're reviewing it, and no doubt they'll give it. I wonder if Mean Machines gives it an okay score, and I bet Official Sega Magazine gives it a really good score. But let's just see. And that's it. So the guidebook, and how much is the Mega Drive at this point? No picture of it, bizarrely, but there's a picture of a Sony TV. Yeah, with Aladdin, £112. So it's coming down. I mean, before long it'd be £100, £90, which is quite reasonable. And I think that probably made a lot of Master System owners who perhaps couldn't afford a Mega Drive at the time go for it. And yeah, I think the Master System at this point was pretty much finished. So the next one will be February 94, and for that month I've got quite a few magazines. I've got Mean Machines Sega, and a copy of Edge, and the Official Sega Magazine. And I think there'll be quite different stories to tell in each of those. So what I'm wanting to do is not do too many magazines per month, or per calendar month rather, because it just takes too long to get through the years. But what I think I'll do in this case is do 3 perhaps in the same week, or maybe 2 in the same week. And I think Edge will be quite different, because what Edge will be doing is looking at some of the new consoles that were coming out, and some of these sadly failed consoles like the Jaguar and the 3DO, which didn't really have much of a lifespan sadly, but were interesting consoles in their own right and had some really interesting games on them, but sadly they weren't to last. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to doing some more regular gameplays as I've been doing this week, and just keeping these magazine flick-throughs going every weekend. So yeah,